Hi, everyone. Welcome. So today we have our peer mentorship call, and we just want to make sure that we mark everyone as attended. So if you can just write in the chat box your first and last name and then your practice name. All right. And then Bart will go ahead and get started.
What's up, guys? How's it going? How's it going? Good to see everybody. I'm just giving everyone a second to log on here. Just giving everybody a second. If you guys have if you do have a camera available, try to turn the camera on so I can see all these good looking faces. Anybody have anything good from the last call? Anything good? Any consultations that you want to discuss, or anything that happened, or any questions you have had, any curveballs, or just any good closes or tough ones? Anyone have anything you want to share while we're waiting for everyone to log on? If not, we can certainly just sit here in silence. All right, wait for everyone. Doesn't matter. I'm trying to entertain you. No one has anything. You guys are lame today. What's wrong with you? Jeez, I guess we need to do a better job marketing them. We gotta get you some more consultations.
I do have one good thing to add.
Tell me.
So I'm starting to use that technique where I'm saying, so what interest, if they're kind of fighting me on the unsecured loan with the interest rate, I say, hey, give me a number, and I'll channel you. Give me a number, and then I'll play with that number. And so he's going to a credit union, and then from there, if he gets a rate, I'll play with that number and try to close from there. But I think that technique is going to work, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for that.
So you're getting the number for them before you put them through financing. That's part of what we're going to go through today.
Well, I was using the unsecured loan, like proceeds, because so it was a little high. It was like, because he has great income. He just hasn't used his credit so much because most of the time they pay a lot of cash. So his interest rate was like around 20%. So I was gonna meet him halfway and ask, but where he decided to do credit union or like a different bank loan, and probably gonna provide like a 5 to 10% max, right, towards us. So that's what I'm going to use. But just using that technique was pretty.
Why are these speakers not working? I don't understand.
Your speakers are working just fine. I heard you loud and clear. If she can't hear us, that's the problem. All right, good. We still got a lot of people logging on right now, just as we speak. Anybody else have anything, any kind of consultations or anything that happened that was good from the last call?
I have a question. It's not about that, but when I'm trying to pre-approve people, when they call me before getting them into our office, they don't feel comfortable doing that because they don't want to give someone random their social security. So I haven't been having much luck with that. So we've been doing that here in the office.
So what's making you pre-approve them in the first place on the phone?
So kind of just giving them a ballpark, and then, if they feel comfortable with the ballpark, and then getting them in for the consultation. And then that's when we kind of, I pre-approve them in the room. So I don't know if you can help me with that.
Are they asking about price? Is that why you're pre-approving them?
Yeah. They're asking about price, because you guys said it's better to get them pre-approved before bringing them in for the consultation.
Only if they're actually asking about price, right? If they're saying, hey, how much does it cost? Or, hey, I don't have a lot of money, I want to make sure it's affordable or something like that. Then we want to make sure they're pre-qualified, right? But you don't want to do that as a blanket. Okay. You know what I mean? You don't want to blanket qualify everybody over the phone. Right? Because what makes us think that they're not qualified? If they're not talking about money or they're not telling you something like that, then what makes us think that they're not qualified? Right?
Yes.
And you don't want to come off the wrong way. Like,
yeah, that's how I feel. I don't I feel like it's kind of like over what like just
Overqualified.
like aggressive. Yeah, it's kind of aggressive. Yes.
Yeah, because you're talking about money
Yeah.
before we've even really established what the problem is, what they want to look like, how they want to feel, function. And we're already talking about money as in
Okay.
basically to say, hey, if you ain't got no money, don't show up.
Yeah. Okay. I think I maybe just when I saw the video last time, they said like getting them pre-qualified over the phone. So maybe I just misunderstood that. So
When you guys are first starting out, right, depending on how
Yeah.
many conversations you have, I want as many people through the door as we possibly can for the treatment coordinator and the doctor to
Okay.
have a shot at. Okay. Now,
Awesome.
the treatment coordinator, typically the patients that are really hung up with money, they're going to ask you and bring it up pretty quick. So if they don't over the phone, then they'll bring it up in person.
Okay.
You know, but again, like some people, there are people that won't get approved with Proceed that just have the money, you know? So when you're pre-qualifying, what we're trying to do is make sure that they're in the ballpark of understanding that this is something over $10,000, right?
Okay.
There's,
Yeah, that makes
there's
sense.
a way of doing it. We just don't want to come off too aggressive. We don't want to come off
Yeah.
like all about money.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of feeling like. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there and see.
No, yeah. If they don't bring up money, get them scheduled, bring them in the door, and let the
Okay.
treatment coordinator go on with 10, 10, 10. Right? If they
Okay.
do bring up money, you tell them, listen, based on everything I'm hearing, sounds like you're probably going to be a candidate for probably 3, 4, 5 different types of full options. It's not like
Okay.
all four is one thing with one price for everybody. There are different ways of doing all on four to fit it within different budgets. Right now, it sounds like you may have a number in your head that you're trying to stay within. That's how you pre-qualify, is not just running through financing. You pre-qualify by figuring out the number in their head and if they're on the same planet as we are.
Okay.
That makes sense. So if the number in their head turns out being, well, I was thinking like somewhere between 15 and 20. I've got a couple other quotes, but you don't need to hear anymore. They're qualified. Bring them in. I don't care if they get approved or not, right? They're in that ballpark mentally, so they're
Okay.
good. Now, if they say, hey, I'm thinking about something around $2,000, that's not even going to get you one implant in a crown. So at $2,000, then we need to tell them that's not in the ballpark. So that entire deal is going to hinge on financing. At that point, if we determine they don't have any liquidity or capital, then I would go ahead and get their information and pre-qualify them, because the entire close depends on their ability to get financing.
Okay. Got it.
Everybody clear on that little sequence right there? So pre-qualifying somebody doesn't mean running them and getting them pre-approved for financing necessarily. Pre-qualifying means figuring out what mental space they're in terms of how much they think this is going to cost. We don't want somebody sitting there that is in the ballpark of $1,000 coming in talking about full arch. But the earlier we can correct that, the better. And then the next thing we're determining is, do they have any money, cash or credit, something they can buy something with? If they do, great. If they don't, can we get them money? I.e., do they qualify for any type of financing? That's kind of the sequence there. And it doesn't matter. It's the same exact sequence over the phone as it is in the first 10. You know, just keep in mind, typically, like when you're first starting off, the people that are most comfortable having these conversations, if anybody, no one's really comfortable till you do it a number of times, but typically it's the treatment coordinator, right, is the one that's done the most amount of consultations, has spoken about this the most. That's why I lean towards, if your consultations aren't booked out for 2 weeks, my mentality over the phone is get them in the door. Get them in the door. Let the treatment coordinator do their job and do the pre-qualifying and run through the 10, 10, 10 and get your repetition. Even if it's somebody that you end up triaging, it's still really good to have those consultations and get those repetition. Now, once you're booked out 2 weeks, you don't have time, right? You can start becoming more selective. But if you're only doing 3, 4 consultations a week, the last thing you want to do is overqualify. Cool. Okay, cool. Well, let's get into this. So for today, a couple things I want to do, and I know a lot of you guys were at the last power session where we went through different closing styles, but we're still like watching the video, and I still think there's a little bit of confusion just in terms of the sequencing on the close. Okay. And I want to go through that. I want to make sure that you guys have something to write with, because I'm going to give you some things that might help that you can keep in front of you, just as kind of a reminder, something to prompt you to stay on the right path here. Okay. So the first thing I'm noticing a lot of times with the closes is we're getting to the bundle. Once you get to the bundle pricing and then you get to the price that you want to sell it at, sometimes we don't have a really good story or an explanation for why the pricing is going from 35 to 25. So if you don't have a really good explanation for that, then you need to think about that, right? And explain it in a way that makes sense so that you don't kind of blow the whole point of the bundle close, right? They need to understand that it really is that it really does cost this much. They're only getting it for this for these reasons. So if you don't have a good explanation for that, then that's something that we want to work on. That's number one. Number two, when we get to the close, right? I want everybody to kind of keep in mind that the close should be an assumptive close. Like we're assuming they're going to move forward. We're not asking them, how does it sound? We're not asking them, do you want to move forward? We're not asking them, would you like to schedule? Right? All of those things are suggesting that they need to make a decision right now. An assumptive close assumes the decision's already been made. This is we're just in the mechanics of scheduling you, right? We're in the mechanics of paying for the transaction. But I'm assuming the decision's been made because I've been here the whole time, right? We've already spoken through this, already gained agreement. This is the of where you are and where you want to be. And this treatment is the obvious treatment that's going to get you from point A to point B. So we've already agreed on all that. We've already agreed it's important to you. You're excited about it. You're enthusiastic about it. We're doing it. So the close is not, okay, so it's going to be, 26,000. So what do you think? Like, what do you think about, so 26,000, what do you think? Or 26,000, I can get you, would you like to look at some financing options? Those are all closes that create a question for the patient. And a question during times of stress, what are they going to be saying? If they have to think right now during a time of stress, and the money's going to provide them with stress, what are they going to say? What are they going to feel? They're going to feel like they need more time to think, right? Because we're making them think. That's the opposite of what we want to do. We've already thought about it. We've thought about it during the entire consultation. And we've gained agreement along every step of the way. And now during the close, you're just maintaining a high level, trying to keep their emotions up, but you want an assumptive tone. Do not ask permission for anything during the close. Because when you ask permission, it's going to sound like uncertainty. And uncertainty is going to sound like it's completely up to them right here. And they're going to think about it, and they're going to want to think about it a little more and a little bit more. I'll give you a for instance, like some people I've seen on the videos, they'll have a technique where actually before they ask for the money, they'll try to just get the patient on the schedule. Okay, so let's go ahead and get you scheduled, right? Which can work, no problem. I've got no problem with that, by the way. The problem is when they say, okay, well, let's go ahead and get you scheduled. They'll typically go with something like, so what works best? You want, morning appointment and afternoon appointment. We've got to get you scheduled for the smile design. Like, what day works? That's kind of like the typical way that they do it, or that I've been seeing on the videos. So again, what's the problem with that? We're making them think. We're making them think. You don't want people to think when they're about to spend $50,000. Any little thing they have to think about that they're not 100% sure on is bad, right? So you want to just, when you're scheduling, you're asking for money or anything like that, if there's going to be options, you just want to take a guess and then assume it, right? So let's go ahead and get you on the schedule. Now, I'm guessing for you, I'm guessing mid-afternoons probably works best, right? Boom. Like I'm assuming and I'm going with it. I'll allow them to correct me, but if they don't correct me, I'm going mid-afternoon. Let me see if I can, No, I'm guessing mid-afternoon is probably going to be the best for you and the most convenient. I'm going to see if I can find something mid-afternoon this week. Just give me a second to look here. Is there any question in there? No, I'm going to give them a chance to correct me, but it's an assumptive tone. You just want to keep it moving along and make it easy. Now, what I basically asked them is, does mid-afternoon work for you? That's what I asked, but I didn't put it in a question format. Does that make sense? I'm saying, no, I'm guessing mid-afternoon is probably going to be the best for you. Let me see if I can get something mid-afternoon sometime later in this week. See if we can do this quick. Boom, boom, boom. I asked a question, but the tone is different. Does that make sense, guys? So you don't want to ask permission for things like scheduling, for things like financing. You want to assume it. If you're not sure what the answer is, take a guess and assume it and allow them to correct you if they want to. But we want to assume the sale and make it as easy for them as humanly possible, as little brain power as possible, and they'll just follow the leader, right? Same thing with financing. Okay, so let me run through the sequence real quick. You go through the bundle, you get to your final price, you close. Okay, the close is always on the money, it's always on the full amount. You don't want to start with the close on the deposit. You don't want to start with 50%. You don't want to start with any of that. We want to start, right, with what's ideal. Ideal is they pay for the whole thing right now. That's the best case scenario for us. So let's start with that, right? So we're going to assume that they're going to pay. Okay, so it's $27,000. So at the end of $27,000, it's actually about a $15,000 discount that you're getting right here. $27,000, I can get you scheduled quick. Okay, so for the 27, like how would you like to pay for that? And what I'm doing is gauging their reaction to see if it's even possible, right? So what are most of them going to say? Are you guys doing that right now? Are you stopping at the full amount and just asking them, how would you like to pay for that? Probably not. I'm not seeing it much on the videos, right? But what you want to do, you want to ask the question. Sometimes they're going to look at you weird, like, what? Like, hold on. And a lot of them will say this. They'll go, you mean like $28,000 right now? Like today? Now? A lot of them will say that. You say, yeah, sure. I mean, and however you'd like to pay, whether it's a check, credit card, bag of money, doesn't matter to me, just whatever's easiest for you. Right? And then one of two things will happen. They're either going to write you a check or give you a credit card, or they're going to be like, well, I can't just write you a check. I don't have like that much money like in the bank to just pay you now. Or is there a way that I can pay it like a portion now and a portion later, like something like that? That's what they'll do. They say, okay, yeah. I mean, if you want to pay a portion now and a portion at, the day of treatment, that's fine. Whatever works best for you. And they'll be like, well, okay. So how much? And we're just walking them through it to see if I'm going to get a cash pay or if I'm going to have to finance. If they're like, look, there's no way I can pay for all of that like up front, then we say, well, would it help if I could take that dollar amount and just spread it out over a series of months and give you kind of instead of, coming up with all the money at one time, if I could spread it out over 60 or 90 months, give you kind of a low affordable monthly payment, would that be something that would help? So a lot of people do that. So, yeah, that would help. That would be awesome. Okay, once we say that, what do we say? Once they say, yeah, that would be great if you could do that. What do you do? Someone tell me. What do you do?
Ask them what a comfortable monthly payment for them would be.
Exactly. And the reason why we're going to do that, right? If they say, yeah, that's good, that would help me. And you go through and you get the patient approved and you come back with a dollar amount, then what do you do if they say it's too high? That's bad, right? So you say, okay, listen, we've got a lot of different options here. So give me something to shoot for. Let me ask you, would you rather a payment plan that you put more money down and had a lower monthly payment, or would you rather put less money down and have a higher monthly payment? Which one's better? Ask them that. Because what I need to know before I run them through financing is if they have any capital. Do they have any cash? And if they do, how much? Right? Because I'm trying to hedge. If you don't know the answer to that question and you just blindly run them through financing, they come back declined, what do you have to say then? Where does that leave us? Now we have to go back and talk about the cash to see if they have any, right? And it's 10 times more difficult. So make sure if they say financing would help, tell them we have different options, give me something to shoot for. And then the very next thing out of your mouth is, would you rather put more money down, have a lower monthly payment, right? Or would you rather put more money down, have a lower monthly payment, or less money down and have a higher monthly payment? Which one's better? And they say, I'd rather put more money down and have a lower monthly payment. Okay, so give me an idea. What do you want to put down? We're talking 50%, 75%, 15, 20,000, 10. Kind of give me an idea. Just get close. I'll try to get you exactly what you want. Well, it's 25 grand. I think I could probably put 10 down. Okay, great. So you got $10,000 cash. So you know what? You know that you're going to make a sale no matter what happens with the financing. Because they said $10,000 real quick, which means that particular person could probably pay for the whole thing. They can at least pay 15 grand because they're never going to give you the absolute maximum amount of money that they could put down. They're never going to give you that dollar amount. So if they say something like that, I feel fabulous because the entire sale doesn't hinge on financing. Now, if they say, I would rather put less money down and have a higher monthly payment, say, okay, so, how much money are you thinking about putting down and what type of payment will work for you? Well, honestly, if I could put down nothing, that would be the best. If I could do it with no money down. Okay, and what type of monthly payment are you thinking? Somewhere around $1,000. That's what we're shooting for. 1,400. Kind of give me an idea in terms of what you want in terms of monthly payments. I don't know. I could probably do around 300. Now let's say it's a double arch and they say they can do $300 with no money down. What are you going to do? Are you going to run them through financing? Can everybody hear me? Okay. So what do? Are you going to run that person through financing? Why? That's impossible. You can't get 2 arches financed for $300 with no money down, right? It's never that's not going to happen. You're not even barely going to get 1 arch for that. So no, it's just not going to happen. So what it does, it allows us to handle it conceptually before I give them an actual number that they say yes or no to. So I always want, before I present a close, I want conceptual agreement that we're going to close before I get there. Does that make sense? So I try to stay away from take it or leave it situations. Take it or leave it situations are scary. I want the agreement basically prearranged, right? So I know exactly what I need to do. And I already have an idea what the financing terms are going to be based on the dollar amount. We already know. We can already get really close. Some of you guys have this stuff memorized. So if there's a big gap in between what they're expecting and what the reality is going to be, handle it conceptually with them right now before you run it so that they don't give you a hard no. Because sometimes if you shock them with something and they give you a hard no, they'll almost just shut down. They'll think like it's impossible for them and they'll just shut down and they won't even tell you no. They'll just say, oh, okay, let me think about it and run it past my wife, or let me think about it and run it past my husband. Right? You can't say, one of the patients, they can't say no to you if you ask them what type of payment would be best. How much money would you like to put down? That's not a yes or no. That's a hypothetical. You guys see the difference? Then if they're on another planet, you correct it before we ever run them. Same thing with the price. They want to know how much it is for all on 4. I'm going to present them with a hypothetical. We have different all on 4 options. How much do you want to pay? And let me back into one. We'll customize it for you, but give me an idea where you are so I don't waste your time. That's not a yes or no. That's not me blindly quoting 25 grand. Oh, no, it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 30, or it's going to be anywhere from 15 to 30 or whatever. No, get the number from them and give them a reason to give you the number in a hypothetical. right? Then conceptually, you're on the same page. It's already closed. It's just a matter of, does the financing come back how I think it's going to come back, right? And you'll know before you ever run them through financing, is this deal, do I have a shot at closing this deal if the financing is not approved? Does that make sense? So let's say you're selling one arch. Let's say it's going to be 25 grand. They tell you they can put down 10,000 bucks, right? They'd like to put down 10,000, have a monthly payment somewhere around 300. Right now, you know that you can probably do that. Let's say they don't get approved. They don't get approved. They said 10,000 and 300 a month. You run them through 3 different financing sources. They're declined all 3 times. Somebody tell me what you do with that. Where do you go with it? These are the little like improv situations that we just have to practice, because if it's not easy for them, they get out of the room, right? They're gonna say, let me think about it. You're gonna lose them over this stuff. So they told you 10 grand. They didn't get approved for anything. So where do we go? Somebody tell me, where would you go?
So if they have 10, that probably means 20. So do a treatment plan for 20.
Okay, so what do you say though?
Oh, good
Like,
question.
how do you break it to them that they didn't get approved without losing all the steam in the call, knowing that they're going to have to pay at least 50% or better, more of the number they gave you? But you know they probably have.
Could you ask the person if they have like a co-signer or someone, a friend of the family that can help them to get to where they need to be?
Maybe, but my mentality is going to be, they said $10,000 easy. They have the money. That's my mentality. So my mentality is that I'm going to close them on something. If I'm not going to close them on the final, I'm going to close them on the surgery and the provisional, because that's going to be sub 20,000, you know, and I should be able to get that done. Even if I have to take 10,000 now and then break up the other 10,000 over the next 3 months and schedule them at the 3-month mark, I don't care. I'm going to figure out some way to get them closed, get the 10,000 and go from there. Because remember, like, guys, you can all do in-house financing. It just depends on when the surgery is going to take place and how much money they're going to put down. That's all, right? I don't think any doctor in the world would ever have a problem. Let's say, what is this? We're in March. So if a patient closes today, same situation, and you can get them done for 20, and they said, I can give you 10,000 now, I can give you 10,000, or I can give you 5,000 in April and 5,000 in May. If you schedule the surgery for May, I don't think any doctor in the world is going to have a problem with that. Makes sense? Because you're just putting them on an installment plan. You're not doing the surgery till it's paid, right? But you're still breaking it out for them and making it a little bit easier. Okay. So if someone gets declined and you think they have money, it is absolutely critical that we don't lose all the steam over the financing. That's why you never do financing without asking them, do you want a higher down payment and a lower monthly payment, or a lower down payment and a higher monthly payment? You have to ask that, because anybody that chooses a higher down payment and a lower monthly payment, 80% of the time or better, they can pay for the whole thing outright. They're just doing it as a luxury, right? Those are also going to be the people that are going to be more prone to scrutinizing an interest rate and things like that, right? Because they have the money, right? That's going to be a person that's going to be a little bit more concerned about 16, 17, 18, 19, 20%, right? So I don't want to put a ton of focus. Okay, cool. So 10,000 down. I mean, you're going to be better than halfway there anyways. So no matter what, we'll figure it out. Let me see what kind of options I can get for you. 10,000, 300, 400 a month, something like that. And remember, with the financing, there's always going to be, there's not going to be any prepayment penalty. So, if you wanted to pay it off 3 months down the road, you could do that. Okay, cool. Let me see what I can get done. Driver's license, and just start collecting the information. That's it, right? It says assumptive. Hey, can I have your driver's license? That's bad. No, driver's license, just get it from them. Okay, comes back, they're declined. Okay. So somebody give me what you would actually say the very first thing out of your mouth. They said 10K down. It's $25,000 treatment plan. They said 10K down. They didn't get approved. Somebody give it to me. How would you act? What would be the first thing out of your mouth? Because this is important. Crickets. Crickets.
Okay, so I would say, you know, not all hope is lost. We can stage this out. Is there any way that you could come up with more money? And then what I'll be able to do is get you going towards your end goal. Something like that.
Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Couple things. Not all hope is lost. Sounds like you're almost dead. Right? They got 10 grand. Okay. So something like, hey, listen, you know what?
What about if
go
somebody
ahead.
can consign for them, like family member, somebody can help them?
Yeah. Yeah. But again, if they say 10 grand, I'm thinking they got the money. I'm
Yeah.
thinking financing's a luxury for them. Right. So what if you said something like this? You know what? Gosh, to be honest, I'm not seeing any financing options that are very palatable for you. I'm not seeing anything kind of in the range what we're talking about with the interest rate that's going to work. I think we should look at doing something a little bit different here, something that's going to make a little bit more sense for you. Okay. Now you said you could put $10,000 down. The last thing I want is you to have terms that you don't like, or a higher monthly payment, or a big interest rate, or something like that. So let's look at doing something a little different, because I'm not seeing anything that's really good here. Right now, what does that sound like? I'm not telling them, man, you're screwed. You got to pay for the whole thing, right? I'm still open to a couple different things here, but I'm not going straight to, hey, do you have a cosign or anything like that? Now, if they said, I want to put no money down and have all the payments, and they're not approved, what I'm talking about doesn't work in that situation. Then is when you're like, hey, that's when we're talking about, is there a cosigner? Do you have any other assets? What do you have that you can sell? We have to come up with some liquidity, or somebody else that's close to you to secure financing, because you know they were upfront and honest about not having the cash available. So that's again why that question is so critical for you to ask. If you don't ask the question, you're going to be guessing. You're not going to know whether to go the route I'm telling you, or to go the route of, hey, you need to find something that you own that's of value to sell, or we need to find somebody that's close to you that will co-sign it with you to help secure financing. Two very different people. One has money, one has no money. Make sense? Okay. So the one that has money, I think about it, I'm going to close it with or without the financing. 10 grand or over, I'm going to assume that they could go at least double. And if they can't go double immediately, they can go double over 60 or 90 days. That's what I am assuming, right? And I'm going to spin it that for them, it makes more sense, right? And I tell them, look, for you, I'm just not sure that any of these options make sense. You know, when you're talking about putting down like 40, 50, 60% to pay a really high interest rate and have terms that aren't that great for you, it just doesn't make sense. Like somebody that says, hey, I don't have any money to put down, right? What can you get me? They don't mind paying like higher interest rates and higher monthly payments because they can't do it anyways. Somebody like you, like if you have $10,000 down, why don't we look at what we can do to get the procedure paid without costing you all the money today, right? Now just hear me out, because I got a couple ideas on this. Let's say you put the $10,000 down today and we go ahead and get you scheduled, and then we do 7,500, say in 30 days, and 7,500 in 60 days, and we just put it on a credit card, right? You can put it on a credit card, or you can do a check, but just spread it out over 3 months and you don't pay any of the interest rate. How's that sound? See what they say. Again, those people with money that do financing, hey, if you offer financing to them and it's 0% interest, they're going to take it every time, right? Just because, why not? Like, why part with the cash? If I don't have to part with the cash, I can spread it out over a year and it's completely interest free. Whether I have the money or not, I'm probably going to do that. But when you're talking about 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20% interest, even if that person gets financed, they're more likely to look at the interest rate and go, geez, I don't know if I really want to pay it, because they don't have to pay it. Makes sense? They can pay it in cash. So those big interest rates, when you say like, hey, for you, somebody like you know, that can put 50% down, I'm just not sure any of the financing options I'm seeing are going to make any sense. You know, with high interest rates, payments that aren't very good, different qualifications. I'm just not seeing anything that's going to be palatable for you here. So let's talk about doing something a little bit better, something that makes a little bit more financial sense for you. You guys see how it doesn't sound bad? It doesn't sound bad. It almost sounds like I'm taking care of them a little bit. You know what I mean? And again, like I'm assuming I'm pacing and leading, right? That's how the whole tone is like, yeah, I'm not getting it. I'm not seeing anything here that I like. I'm not seeing any favorable terms at all. You know, none of this stuff really makes sense for somebody like you. Let's look at some alternatives going to make a little bit more sense. I mean, no reason you paying 25% interest rates when you're going to be putting 50% down. I mean, that's just ludicrous. Here, let's talk about what we can do to save you some money here, okay? So we can do $10,000 now. What if we spread it over 3 months and you just pay no interest, right? And we just hold the note here in office. You just pay us directly. We don't even get a third party involved. That's going to save you quite a bit of money. For someone like you, I think it probably makes more sense. What do you think? It's like temperature check, temperature check. You know what I mean? If they're open to that, cool. You might close them for the full amount, you know, and you just got them in collections. Go ahead and schedule the smile design, get all that stuff on the books right away because they're paying $10,000. Don't schedule the surgery until the third payment's cleared. That's the most conservative, easiest way to handle it if they have the money. Does that make sense? But you have to separate them out into those two categories. Okay. And remember, guys, if you have any questions, just write them into the chat. Write them into the chat and then we'll get to them. Are you monitoring that? Okay, cool. Okay. Now, if the patient says, well, okay, so that makes sense. I can do it, but I don't think I could do it over 3 months, you know? Can you do it for me for a year? Can you break, I can put 10,000 down and then can you break up the rest of the payments for a year interest free? What do you say? Crickets. Where's my closers? Where's my closers? You guys are shy or what? I got like 98 people on this call. Not one of you knows. You all know. What do you say? No right or wrong, doesn't matter. That's why I'm here.
Yes, sure.
Sure? A year?
Yeah, 90% down, 10% over a year. There you go.
But he said it's so the arch is 25,000. He said 10,000 down, the rest over 12 months.
Oh.
15,000.
We're negotiating here, right? That's what we're doing. I didn't get approved for financing, so that's out the door. So what are your options? Okay, it's $25,000 for zirconia. So you either come to agreement on something that's palatable. You don't want to, you guys aren't a bank and you're not charging interest, right? So we can't spread it out too far. Frankly, I don't like spreading things out more than 3 months personally. So if I'm at 3, they're at 12, right? Then we can have a conversation about it. But you know, in the back of your head, something that you can do, right, is you can start them with the surgery and the provisional and get that fee from 25 down to like whatever it is, whatever you're selling it for, 17, 18. You know what I mean? Reduce the principal. And then they got $10,000 and maybe 7 left. So that's 10,000 now, 3,500, 3,500. And then after they get that done, they have a full year to save up for the rest of it, for the next $7,000 or $8,000. Does that make sense? But they can go ahead and commit right now. And we tell them, like, listen, as far as the surgery goes and the procedure, it's all identical. The only difference here is the material of the teeth. It's the only difference. That's it. Right? But it's a way to fix the problem that you have, get you into this without paying 25, 30% interest or something crazy, and let you go get something you can afford for the next 3 months. We're going to get you into to your new teeth. And then if you want to upgrade to the zirconia, it's going to be another 7,000, but we're going to guarantee this for 12 months for you. So you're going to have 12 months to come up with the money and then pay it. And again, instead of paying, some crazy large interest rate for somebody like you, I don't think it makes sense. I think this makes sense for both of us. It's a happy medium. You're on the same exact track that you were before. I think it's a great compromise. I think we should do it. See what they say. You know what I'm saying? But you want to, that's kind of how this is going. Because a lot of times what we're doing is we're asking the patient to kind of figure it out. We're letting the patient tell us everything, come up with all of these solutions. I don't want them to come up with solutions. I'm going to come up with all the solutions. They just need to tell me what the problems are. Make sense?
I have a chat question based on that.
Okay.
So Linda from Apex said, okay, so that's for people who can put the money down. What about someone who can't put anything down and want $300 to $400 monthly payments?
Someone that can't put any money down, they want $300 to $400 monthly payments and they don't get financed, right? They get declined for everything. Okay. So in my head, I'm going, all right, I've got like a 5% shot of closing this case at best today, 5%. So I'm picking up the pace. This is more than likely going to be a triage situation immediately. So I have to say is, listen, based on where you are, I couldn't find any options that made sense. I couldn't get you approved for any of the options that we have. I tried 3-4 different sources. I just can't seem to get approval here. There can be a number of different issues related to that. It could be debt to income. We got to make sure we're putting your entire household income, but it could also be due to credit score. So we have a couple options at this point. Number one, we need to find a way to get you financing, either through somebody else, somebody that's close to you, or through different types of secondary financing, right? That's number one. So if you have anybody else that will go on as a co-signer with you, give me those names and let's explore that. If that's not an option, then we have to find something that you own that's of value that you can sell or borrow against. Those are the options. So if you have equity in your home, you can borrow against the equity. If you have a car that you can put up for collateral, you can borrow or against the car, or you can sell the car. If you have something at home that's valuable, a collection of some sorts, right, that somebody will pay money for, that's valuable. Is any way that we can create liquidity for you right now, whether it is financing through somebody that you know, whether it's borrowing against an asset, or whether it's liquidating an asset, that's where we are. So let's talk about some of those options. And then you bring out the funding worksheet and go through different options with them and say, look, these are some of the ways that my patients, some of the different ideas and methods that they've used when they're in situations just like yours. And they've used this to free up cash and move forward with care. So I'm going to go through these with you quickly, and you tell me if any of these rings a bell. You have equity in your home. Do you have a 401k? Do you have a pension? You have boom, boom, boom. And you go through the funding worksheet, get to the end, give them the funding worksheet, give them your business card, tell them you're here for them. It's a direct line for you. Go home, do some research, figure out what they can sell, talk to friends and family. They've got your direct line. If there's anything you can do for them, then you do it. But that's going to be, look, I'm serious, 95% of the time, if they don't have any money and they get declined for financing, you're triaging. That's done. Hopefully, usually those patients kind of, sometimes they'll prompt us in the first or second 10 with that, and we can have this conversation earlier. But some of them will just be quiet and they'll wait till the very end, So either way, if they don't have any money and they don't have any financing, it's pretty simple. Go straight to the funding worksheet and make sure that if they leave with one thought in their mind, I want them leaving with the thought of things are money. That's what I want them. Because people are like, oh, I don't have money. I don't have money. Yeah, you do. You got a TV. You know what I'm saying? You got a couch. You got all this crap in your garage. You have money. It's just not in cash form. Does that make sense? Because sometimes just that alone, like people might have a second watch or something they're not using, and people have stuff. They have an old boat that they don't use anymore, right? If we've done a good job selling the procedure or selling the outcome is going to be much more valuable to them than some type of personal possession. And that's the thought you want them leaving with, is that possessions are money. Yes, ma'am.
I would say these people that are getting denied financing, their best bet is if they have a friend or family member that can co-sign for them. That's really pretty much the only time we see them come back, being able to afford it.
Yeah, but I mean, what are their options, right? Like where do they go from here? You find a friend or a family member to help you get the financing, or you have an asset that you can borrow against, or you sell something. That's it. So you give them all three and see which one strikes a nerve. Some people have somebody, some people don't, but I want them walking away thinking, hey, maybe I could sell this. Maybe I could borrow against that. You guys realize if it's somebody that, like, let's say they're 81, 82 years old. They're on a fixed income. They don't have a lot of cash. Okay. They get declined financing, but they just don't have a lot of cash. What would be the first thing that would enter your mind that they might have that would be worth value at their age?
A house.
A house, correct.
An RV.
Okay. So let's say that they have a house. Would you say somebody that's 81, what are the odds they have equity in that house? Extremely high, right? Okay. So what would you guide somebody that's 81 years old to do?
Someone in the chat said a HELOC loan.
HELOC the house. What's that?
Borrow against the house.
Yeah. And keep in mind, listen, if they're over 62, guys, they can borrow against the house and never make a payment ever. Never. They can take the money out and never, ever make a payment. It's called a reverse mortgage. It's fabulous for seniors. They can take out a percentage of whatever the value of the house is, of that equity, and take the money and never, ever make a payment. They can still live in the house until they die. They will never make a payment. It'll be settled with the estate. Does that make sense? It's different than a loan. A regular loan, they're going to take out the loan, they're going to have to start making payments immediately, right? With a reverse mortgage, they never make any payments and they can never foreclose on the house. Does that make sense, guys? It's more like a conservation easement. Like if people that have land, if they want to put the land in a conservation easement, they can take the money out. They never make a payment on it, and the land can never be developed. But it's kind of like that. It's kind of like mortgaging a portion of the home. So whoever they leave the home will get the home less what they borrowed from the bank. Make sense? But again, another good option. The more you guys know about financing, the more you know about money, how it works and how to get it, the more help you can be to people. Okay. And everybody has something to sell. That's what I want them leaving with. But I'm not taking a ton of time. At that point, I know for the most part that this is not getting done today. Not getting done today. So I give them some homework, make sure they leave knowing I'm going to borrow against an asset, I'm going to sell an asset, or I'm going to find a friend or a family member to co-sign. Those are the three things for them to do. Now, and then I go through the funding worksheet and it just gives them ideas. It's just light bulbs, light bulbs, light bulbs. You'll be surprised when you go through it. You're gonna hit the ball every once in a while doing that. They go, oh, you know what? Well, I do have this. Well, let me check into this. And sometimes they'll call you back 2, 3, 4 months later and they'll have it. That's it. That's all you can do. You can't close a deal that can't be closed. They ain't got the money and they don't have the financing. Let's move on. Then it's all about saving time, moving on to the next one. Make sense? And make sure that you guys are picking up on their cues. You're picking up on their cues in terms of money. Anytime someone talks about money, it gives you an opportunity to talk about it and triage them up front. They talk about it in the first 10, let's talk about it. They want to ask about money, then I'm going to get a number from them, what they want to pay, right? What ballpark are they in? That's my triage to make sure that I don't have somebody moving all the way through the process with absolutely no money. And if they have absolutely no money and they bring it up, I'm going to see if I can get them approved before we even do the CT scan. Make sense? Cool. But the main thing I want you to remember on the sequencing, right? You close on the bundle, you ask them how they want to pay for it. Cash, credit, or you want a credit card check or a bag of money. They'll laugh and they'll look at you like you got 6 heads, most of them. Like, are you serious? Okay, cool. Well, tell me what works. I'm open. Whatever works easiest for you. You want to put a portion down now and later? You tell me what works. Well, I don't know. I mean, I can put a portion down, but I can't put that much. Say, well, let me ask you a question. Would it help if I could take this fee, the $25,000, if I could break it up over a series of months? Would that help? Yeah, that would help. That would be great. Okay, cool. Give me an idea what you're looking for, because I had a lot of different options here. Give me something to shoot for. You want to put less money down, have a higher monthly payment, or more money down, have a lower monthly payment? I'd rather put less money down, have a higher monthly payment. Okay, so how much you want to put down? Give me an idea. You want to put down what, 10,000, 5,000? No, I'd like to put down, if I could put down 0, that'd be great. You know, the entire deal hinges on financing before you ever run them. Make sense? You don't have to go back and ask them for money because they ain't going to give it to you. Cool. The other way, I'd like to put more money down, have a lower payment. Okay, cool. How much you like to put down? You want to put down what, 60, 70%, 50%? Give me an idea. 10, 15,000. What's easy? What works for you? Just give me something to shoot for here. Okay, cool. 10, 12,000 bucks. Okay, so 12 down. And then for a monthly payment, what's ideal for you? We looking like 500 a month? Is that good? 400 a month, something like that? Yeah, I could do 500. Okay, cool. 12 down, 500. I ain't worried. Right? That is, in my mind, that's a done deal. But it has to be done in that sequence, guys. In that sequence. If you give them a number, they're not sure and they look at it. Some of these people will not voice their objections. They'll just say, thank you, and let me think about it. And that's how they're walking out. So remember this, gain conceptual agreement before you make a presentation. Before I even present the treatment, we've already gained agreement in the second 10 that that's it. We've already gained agreement, and you already know that they're excited about it and they value it and they're excited about the outcome and they're emotionally invested. All that has already been decided before I ever even present the treatment. If that's not the case, don't present the treatment. Get them excited about it. If they're not emotionally invested, why are we even doing it? So you've got to be able to get them there. Okay. So that's the whole concept here with negotiation is I'm not going to give them, the only time I'm ever going to give them one number to say yes or no to is after I do the bundle close and get down to the number. That's the goal of the sales call, is get to that point. Because once I do a close and I say, okay, this is going to be, it's 35,000 for these reasons, you're going to get at 25. How'd you like to pay for that? You want to do check, credit card, bag of money? Like, what works? That is the close every single time. And that's the only time that we're ever going to give a number for them to say yes or no to. Everything else after that is a hypothetical question that we pose to them, that we're open to any options. Makes sense? I don't want to run them through financing and present them with 4 options to choose from. Guys, that's a disaster. They're going to go talk to their wife. They're going to go talk to their husband. There's not 4 options. Tell me the option that works. And once you get close to it, it's done. And then you're assuming the close. Okay, got everything we need. No problem. Sign here. Let's go. I'll get you scheduled. Now for you, probably mid-afternoon probably works best, right? I'm going to try to find something this week. That's the cadence here. Does that make sense? If you've gained conceptual agreement, there's no question. The question only comes when you haven't, right? And then it's what if they say no? A lot of people don't want to say no, so they'll just get out of the office and say, let me think about it. And that's what's happening in the close. We're not setting it up correctly. We're making little tiny errors in the close that leads to them going, okay, well, you know what? Let me think about which option is best. I also have a pretty good relationship with my bank. Let me just kind of think about what option is best, and I'm going to get back to you. And it's like, oh my God, that person should have been done. That was a done deal. We did everything perfectly right up until that point. And then we give them 3 options. I don't give them 3 treatments. I don't give them 3 financing options. We don't give them any options. It's just, what do you want? And I'm going to give you that. What do you want as far as an outcome? I'm going to give you a treatment that gives you that, and that's the only treatment you're going to see. What do you want as far as how to pay for this? What do you want? And I'm going to give you that one. What do you want in terms of financing, monthly payments, and money down? I'm going to give you that. And it's done. Make sense? No? Awesome.
I have chat questions.
Okay, chat question, go.
Lisa from the Burkett, if we spread out treatment over time due to finances and we're waiting it out for funds, how do you protect the practice with patient obligation and our obligation to finish? Consents?
It depends on how you schedule it out and how far you're running it. That's why I don't like holding a note for 12 months or 18 months when we're going to be done with all of our work in 3. If I'm going to be done with my work in 3, then I'll finance it for 3. It's going to take us 4, then I'll finance it for 4. If we're talking about in-house financing for no interest, I explain to the patient, look, we're not a bank. You know what I mean? But if this is just a matter of allowing you to that paying everything up front is just too much heartburn right now, just to pay that total amount. I know that you probably could, but if that's just too much heartburn for you, listen, we're going to be done with the final in 3 months. If you need me to spread it out and do 10 now and then 5 and 5, I'll do that for you. Right. But if we're talking about, hey, 10 now and then spread out the other half of the payment throughout a year, we're just not set up to hold a note for that long. That's kind of why we work with the third parties. I'm just kind of doing something special for you because a lot of third party and interest payments just don't make sense financially for somebody like you. So I don't have a problem doing that, but let's get this thing paid by the time we're done. Does that sound fair? And go try to close them. If he's like, yeah, it's fair, I just can't do it. Okay, you can do 10,000 down now. Could you do, say, give me an idea what you could do. You can't do 10, 5, and 5. What could you do over the next 3 months? Could you do 10, 3, and 3, 10, 4, and 4, 10, 2, and 2? What could you do? I could do 10, 3, and 3. That's $16,000 over the next 3 months. What can you get done in 3 months for $16,000? Surgery, smile design surgery, provisionalization. Done and done. Make sense? Then you let them pay for the extra $9,000 for the permanent later. Get them done. You got conceptual agreement. It's spread out. Their last payment comes on the day of surgery. Their first payment comes today. The next payment comes at the smile design. Last payment's at surgery. And go. Close it now. Collect the money, get the credit card, go. But I'm not a big fan of spreading it out. Again, that's what financing is for. They need to pay the interest. You guys aren't banks. I don't even, with my company, well, we're not set up like that either. We're not a bank. If I'm going to sell something where all of the work's going to be done in 3 or 4 months, say to do a video for you guys, I don't want to write that note for 12 months or 24 months. You know what I mean? And charge 0% interest. We're just not, that's what credit lines are for. That's what banks are there for. Right. But remember, you got somebody in front of you that has 10 grand. They got 10 grand. They said they can pay right now. 10's 15, 10's 16 all day long. So be ready with the scale, right? And be ready to spread it out over the course of finishing the case, of doing the actual surgery. I don't think any doctor would ever have a problem with doing that. Where the doctor's going to have a problem is, hey, you gave them 12-month financing, we're getting that, we're going to be done. This case is going to be completed in 30 days. Then you have way too much exposure, right? With 10 grand is going to pay for all of your overhead and then some. So you're already profitable at $10,000 on the case anyways. So your risk is extremely low on a 3-month plan like that.
Here's another question.
Mhm.
What's a good suggestion for a patient who paid in full and then starts getting cold feet a couple of days later due to them realizing how much money they have invested?
Okay, so if somebody gets cold feet and they paid in full, it's called buyer's remorse. So where does buyer's remorse come from? Buyer's remorse, if you get patients with buyer's remorse, it actually is a good thing for you. It speaks a lot to you because that means that you made a really good emotional sale. You got them excited. That's what happened. You got them excited. They're like, oh my God, I want this. Look at that. Look how I look. You know, I saw like the smile design. I look amazing. I have to have it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And they made an impulse buy. But what happened? When you make an impulse buy, the next day you start thinking about it and your brain starts playing tricks on you. Your brain starts going, man, should you have done that? Maybe you should have shopped around. Or they go home and tell someone, they're like, oh, did you look into this? Did you look into that? Any of that little doubt in their mind, right, can get them to say, hey, I changed my mind, right? So what has to happen is the emotional side, getting them excited about it. That's what's going to get them to close now. But the logical side is going to give them the logical justification for doing what they did, which is absolutely critical. It's imperative that they know that and understand it. So the justification for what they did is, hey, no matter what, I'm going to have to do this one day, right? My situation is not getting any better. No matter what, I'm going to have to do it one day. With these guys, I'm getting everything, making no compromises, and I'm getting about a 25% discount to do it now. I'm going to spend the money down the road no matter what. So I might as well do it with them where I'm getting a great deal. They're not cutting any corners. I'm going to get a great outcome. And they just have to know, like, they're going to spend the money. One way, shape, or form, it's going to happen. Right. And if they have that logical justification, that's what the bundle close does. It shows them they're getting a great deal and makes them feel comfortable about spending the money because they feel like they got a good deal, like they got a bargain. Like the money they spent, yeah, they spent 25, but it's worth 30. Or they spent 25, but it's worth 35. That's the logical justification they need that really helps to curb buyer's remorse. When you don't have it, you start to question, did I get a good price? Should I have, maybe I moved too quick. Maybe I should get a second opinion, right? And they start talking to other people and one thing leads to another. If they have an airtight logical justification for why they spent the money, which is the bundle, that's that story I was telling you about, then they're not seeking any information from a third party once they leave. To them, they made a smart decision. It's done. And you know what? They feel okay with it, because they're going to have to do it anyways. Might as well do it now, get it done right, and save 20%. Make sense? Any other questions?
Yep, we have one more from Brandy. Can you explain if a patient is qualified but questions the interest rate, how do you split that with the patient?
If a patient is qualified and questions the interest rate, so let's say the interest rate's 20%. Hey, Brandy, are you on still?
Yeah, I'm here.
So give me a for instance. Let's say it's 20%. When you say question it, what are they saying exactly?
Well, I mean, not even being that high. So I'll just scenario. I had a lady come in a while ago. She qualified for the full 60,000. She was ready to do a full upper and lower. Her interest rate was like, I don't know, 3.9. It was ridiculous. So I was like, okay, no brainer, right? She said that she needed to go ask a family member for help to put money down to lower her monthly payment, but it was already pretty, it worked out. So I'm like, okay, I know you had said something not too long ago about splitting that interest with them as, you know, helping them.
But where's the fundamental issue here? Fundamental issue took place before you ran in with financing.
Clearly.
You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't ask her, what kind of payment do you want? You want to put more money down, lower payment, less money down, higher payment? Which one? You would have already known this.
Yeah.
That way, when the financing comes back, you know how exactly what you need to say and how to frame it to make it a no-brainer. If not, you're going to present them with an option and you don't know how they're going to receive what's being presented. That's why it's dangerous to do it blind, right? Because if she said to me, hey, I want something that I could put nothing down, right? Then it's like, okay, well, what kind of payment do you want? Oh, this, that, or the other, right? Let's say that she said, I don't know, $600 and you got her something for 400. I'm going to close them and tell you, you know what? Like if it comes back at 400, I'm going to say, you know, I was able to do way better than you even asked for. This thing is done. I got this. Not at 600. I'm working some magic here. I didn't get it at 600. I get it at 400. I save you 33% right off the bat. How's that? Because what is she going to say?
Yeah.
That's bucks? No. She'd be like, oh my gosh, awesome. Cool. Let's go through it. Sign right here. I'm going to get you scheduled. We got this done, baby. No money down, 400 a month. Let's go. Put it in front of her. Tell her to sign it. I'm not making a big deal of the interest rate. I don't care about the interest rate. The interest rate to me, it's not an issue. You guys do not want to sit down and start going through the details of the financial product that they're using.
So I guess I'm referencing one of the things that was mentioned at one of the power sessions. And I was brief and it was quick and I just kind of caught, and then someone mentioned it this morning about taking some of their interest off.
I'll tell you. So
putting it back on or somehow.
Yeah, I gotcha. So let's say that you knew that if you did it and you asked the questions beforehand, you get to the interest.
Right.
You did exactly what I just said. You didn't bring it up. And they look at the interest, right? And they go, oh, geez, 3.9. You know what? I'm going to see if I can get a family member to help me with down payment to lower it. Now, the first thing I'm thinking is, who's to say that's going to be lowered if you put down more money? Right? 3.9 unsecured loan, it ain't going to lower anymore, regardless of that, right? So off the bat, I'm a little bit confused with it. But let's just say, for the sake of the example, let's say it was 10%. Okay. And they're like 10%. Geez, I can do better than that. I never pay 10%. That's insane. Geez, it'd be better to pay cash, but 10%, that's way too much. I can do better at my bank. You know what? Let me go to talk to my bank and I'll get back to you. Okay. So say, okay, listen, I get it. But 10%, let me just put this in a little bit of perspective. Okay. So what the 10% represents is what's called an unsecured loan. That means that you're being approved on stated income. We don't request tax documents. You don't have to put up any collateral, and it's done instantly. Unsecured loans are the highest risks for the banks to take. Plus, there's no car, there's no house, there's nothing to repossess or foreclose on and sell for the lender. So those unsecured loans, the reason why people do them is because they're easy, they're quick, and allows you to get this done and scheduled and moving forward today. And it's super convenient and easy. You go to a bank, they do tax documents, you put something up for collateral. Yeah, you can do better. It just takes so much time. But at the end of the day, let's say that you went to your bank. What interest rate would you actually be expecting? Like, what interest rate are you looking for? If 10% is too high, and we know something like 2% is impossible, prime's what, 4.5? Like, what interest rate would you be expecting with any type of financing? And then I set a baseline, right? And let's say they go, well, I would be expecting something like, 5%. Okay, so you're 5% away from a close. They're expecting 5%. 5% with tax documents and collateral. What do you say we do this? So, because again, I want to make it easy for you. The financing company, banks, they can just be such a pain in the butt to deal with, honestly. Like, to get changes, they're regulated like crazy. What if we did something like this to make it easy? Okay. Keep in mind, with the unsecured loan, there's no prepayment penalty. Okay. I get it. 10% is too much. Why don't we do this? You want to be at 5, we're at 10. I don't even have to talk to the doctor about this. What if we do this? I can take 2.5% right off the principal, which lowers your total principal by 2.5%. That's basically me prepaying the interest for you. And then I don't have to mess with them about the interest rate. That's going to get you halfway there. So now you're at 7.5%. If you still want to go to the bank and invest the time and energy, right, into doing tax documents and getting a traditional loan, let's say you get it, no big deal. Let's say they give it to you for 4.5. You get the loan, you pay off the unsecured loan, and you're done. But this way I can get you locked in. I'll give you an additional 2.5% off the principal, and I can get you scheduled, and we'll get your smile design done this week, and we'll get moving on this. I mean, there's absolutely no downside here. None. Let's do that. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually what I was looking for was right there because I've come across this a couple times because those unsecured loans are very high in interest. And that has been a deterrent for a lot of our patients. So that's exactly what I was looking for.
So the first thing is make sure that you state the difference between a secured loan and unsecured right off the bat. Justify that they're all gonna be higher by nature of that type of financial product, number one. Number two, having said all of that, what interest rate would you be expecting? Because now I'm trying to determine,
do they know the difference?
Where I am, where are they? Because
Yeah.
I don't want to get to 7.5 if they're thinking 2%, which is impossible. I'm gonna correct that, right? So I need to know what they want. Well, geez, if it was at 7%, I wouldn't be so upset about it. Just 10 is ridiculous. Okay, so if I can get it to 7%, we're good. Listen, instead of going back and forth with financing, here's what I'm gonna do. Boom. You know what I mean? But you gotta first establish the difference, unsecured versus secured. Second, establish their baseline where they want to be as far as an interest rate. And you're going to make a call. How big is that gap? Is the gap realistic? And can I get all the way to the number they want by reducing principal? Right? Or are we going to have to compromise? I'm going to have to compromise, meet in the middle, and then do a push close. If it's a push close and it's a compromise, then your silver bullet is the fact that there's no prepayment penalty and they can still get it done. So we can get it done now, move forward, get you on the schedule, and you can still talk to your bank and pay it off. And there's literally no downside. This is the perfect solution. Let's do it. Or why would we not do it? There's no reason not to do it. And it's a push close. And then you find out how serious they are. Make sense, guys? Okay, awesome. And for those of you that didn't get to the power session, we went through and we did different closing styles in the power session this last month. So you guys make sure that you get scheduled for the power sessions in the future, whether it's just you or whether it's with the doctors. Look at the schedule and figure out the ones you want to come to and get scheduled for them because they are filling up. We have a max capacity of those of 120. Cool. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Go close somebody. Go get them. Make that money. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good
All
one.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Get them.